Hey, what's going on, team? Hope that you guys are all having an amazing start to the week. So pretty crazy and very fortunate news for a lot of these industrial companies, and it's what I'm going to be covering today and why it's so important to create separate watch lists of stocks that do well when, again, we're working towards a vaccine. And Moderna, or ticker symbol mRNA, released really great news that they have a potential vaccine that has been 94.5% effective in comparison to the other competitor where they said a little bit over 90%. This is great news for all industrial companies as well as great news for airlines and cruise lines, which, let's be honest, that's been a very big focus for a lot of people, at least on the YouTube space, because they've been so oversold and so unfortunately devastated by this pandemic. The other thing that I do want to quickly talk about just when it comes down to Moderna is 20 million doses are planned to be prepared and distributed by the end of this year, which is absolutely just great news, especially as recently we've been seeing an increase of COVID cases, not only within the United States, but also in Europe as well. And one of the things that I want to talk about very quickly is if you guys paid attention to how the market performed today, especially NASDAQ. NASDAQ didn't do anything crazy. I think out of the big three, it's the one that moved the least, but it was so great to see that, Carnival Cruise Lines gapped up and nearly cleared 10%. And I have my series of watch lists, so I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I understand that you guys might not all see the same value in what it is that I pay attention to, but I wanted to talk about JetBlue. Again, you guys could see that all of these airlines have seen this news of this COVID, right? Of this COVID vaccine, potential COVID vaccine, show signs of an uptrend because, again, it means that we are one step closer to the overall idea of getting out of this pandemic, right? When it comes down to Hawaiian Airlines, when it comes down to American Airlines, when it comes down to Southwest Airlines, don't forget about Spirit Airlines. For all my people that like to save a couple dollars, I know I fly with them all the time. We have United Airlines. Jets is a very popular ETF. This one gapped up about 3.77%. We got Delta Airlines, and of course, we got Alaska Airlines. I just wanted to share a couple with you guys because if you guys wanted to create an airline watch list, I hope that this just gets you one step closer to your overall goal. And if it does, please just comment down below. Another set of stocks that I want to talk about are a series of bank stocks that did very, very well. So JP Morgan gapped up and cleared a little bit under 3%. We also have Citigroup. This one was up nearly 4%. We have Wells Fargo, 3.45%. And one of the things that you guys can notice about all of these is that they all just saw a recent push, and you guys can see if you pay attention to any of the futures such as /ES or /NQ, the overall market had a really nice gap up right up until close, which again had a really strong finish. And of course, Goldman Sachs is another very popular bank stock that performed exceptionally well today. The other ones that I do want to talk about, and actually one that I did miss in here that I did not add, is Boeing. And this one I think performed the best or the most consistently out of all the airlines that I was paying attention to. The last set of stocks that I want to talk about are cruise lines. Cruise lines, again, were unfortunately devastated because of this pandemic. And you guys can see this with Carnival Cruise Lines. It's going for a second rally after the initial news that they were working on a vaccine. It pulled back quite a bit. So again, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. What can we take away from this? Well, you guys could see that with Carnival Cruise Lines, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian Cruise Line, they all gapped up for the second time because of this news, which is great. But what happened last time? It pulled back once the news becomes less relevant. And it's great that we're one step closer to the overall goal, but you also understand that usually when certain news like this comes out, it tends to be an overreaction. The hype is no longer there, and then it quickly corrects itself. Of course, if your intention is to invest in these long term and you're waiting for a full recovery, then stick to your plan. But for those that got in either on Friday or we're going in for a short-term day trade or a short-term swing trade, just make sure that you do your part and not being afraid to lock in profits and walking away with some money in your pocket. Now that we talked about those specific stocks, I want to keep you guys up to date with the position that I've been holding, and I want to keep you guys up to date not only on my green days but on my red days. It wasn't crazy, but I'm still down on the overall open. You guys could see that I reduced my position size from 350 shares down to 300 shares. So one of the great things that I see about PTON is after we saw that there was an unfortunate pullback, although it has been rallying for a very long period of time, one of the things that you need to take into consideration is just because I'm invested in PTON, in no way does that mean that it's the best stock for you. One of the first things that I want to talk about is I find this to be a little bit more on the oversold side. So again, I find it to be a good deal where I can buy it now and later be able to sell it for a profit. If it were to return to 180-day highs, which it 100% does not have to, that offers nearly a 40% return if it were to approach about $139 a share. The really cool thing about this is I see the upside to be greater than the downside, but one of the things that you need to take into consideration is, although I'm invested in it, one of the things that we need to understand is that PTON has been doing exceptionally well during pandemic conditions. They offer a lot of amazing and also very expensive at-home workout machines, which of course during quarantine, this was something that saw an increase of demand. Is this something that's going to continue as we find a potential vaccine that can be affected and distributed, and as we ease back out of, again, pandemic conditions and get out of quarantine? Then will the demand be less for PTON? I know that they have a lot to look forward to by the end of the year, but again, at the end of the day, I want to talk about why I see value in it, but as well as also openly explain that, yeah, we actually could see that there could be less demand later in the future. I just see the upside potential to be so much greater than the downside, especially with its amazing performance for 2020 alone, of course, during pandemic conditions. So although I see value in it, please do not be afraid to share your thought process down in the comment section. So one of the really exciting things that we are seeing right now with the overall market is that although we did pull back from the initial push that we have seen on /NQ and /ES, it looks like we are showing signs of an uptrend. It's validating that EMA line as a support level. It looks like it's making higher lows and working towards on higher highs, which is of course great for the overall market and especially a lot of our long positions, especially for those tech focused stocks. So I'm very, very, very excited to follow up with the overall market. It's a very early start to the week, so let's not get carried away with a really strong start to the week, but let's understand that right now we have very fortunate news that's pushing the market up, and let's make sure that we stay prepared and not surprised. So if you begin to see that the market pulls back as that news becomes less relevant, again, taking that into consideration and not being afraid to lock in profits when and if it makes sense to you. Other than that, I'll leave it at that. I really hope that throughout this video, again, you learned something new. If you did, I really hope that we earned your thumbs up. Don't forget to stay connected. If you guys want to join our free Facebook group where you can connect with like-minded individuals, 293,000 of them, that's that first link down below. And if you guys want to watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow, click the second link down below and I will see you at market open. Until then, we'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy, team.